had never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Oh, there I am, hiding down the corner. How are you, folks? Hope you're doing all right and getting through your Wednesday. It is today, isn't it? Just like Aussie Sue says, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, please. We are welcoming a whole heap of new subscribers at the moment, so thank you very much. If you're new to the Voice of Freedom channel, or you finally just figured out which channel to subscribe to, because there are a few floating around, welcome. Great to have you, and very excited to have you. One of our wonderful moderators is Aussie Sue, who's responsible for that message. Another one of our great friends is Spazza. We do have a lot of people in the room who are pretty cool, very, very wonderful people. Angelina is currently the coolest of the lot, though, can I say, with her super chat. Thank you so much, or a sticker. And if you want to make sure that if you've got a question or something you want me to see, then that's probably the easiest way of doing it. A sticker, a super sticker, or a super chat, because it highlights and comes up here with all bells and whistles and all that sort of thing. So it attracts me back to it. So, yes, greatly appreciated, Angelina. Thank you so much. And Clayton, who's out making dinner at the moment, I hope you, big fella, you've managed to get back. You would have cleaned up that meat tray that I gave you a little while back when we caught up for lunch here in Canungra. And I hope, big fella, we can catch up this Sunday. Looking forward to having you around for all of that. And we're going to talk about this Sunday very, very shortly. And, of course, I'm talking about the march. To march or not to march. If you're going to march, you're going to march in March, or are you going to march? Not so March. I might march in September. It's all going to get a little wild and confusing, but we'll get to talk more about that with Tim Dwyer very shortly. And at late notice, Darren Bergwerf is going to join us as well. There's been a lot of conversations about marches of late. I'm not a big fan of the march currently in September, but my reasons for it might be a bit shallow. I'm open to be spoken to about it. At any rate, let's see how we go. It's going to be an interesting time. Donna Kilgour, love your work and lovely to have you in the house early tonight. It's lots of fun back again, and we are going to party pretty hard tonight. Always going to be a good conversation when Tim Dwyer comes to town, and Darren Bergwerf is never shy of a good comment. Let's put it that way. G'day, Paul. Hope you're doing well. Tony. I trust Melbourne's doing you well. Margot, things going well for you. Oh, God, what that? I hope you are doing well. Are you out of hospital yet? That is the main question I have for you. I want to say g'day to One Eye, who may not be watching live, but always does watch, and I never say hello to him. So g'day, brother. That's also Skipper Pete, for those of you. If you see Eyeball or One Eye pop up in the chat, I call him Skipper Pete to his face. So that's how it works. He hates it, by the way. Katrina Young, lovely to have you on. Phil, nice to have you in, my cooker mate. And I've said g'day to Tony. The lovely Rachel is in the house tonight. Rachel Kyle, who is one of our wonderful family members, comes from Tasmania. I'm not going to tell you where in Tasmania, but can I just tell you that what she does working with animals and what she does working with humans, even though not really liking humans terribly much, like many of us, is truly magnificent. And here is a little example of what I'm talking about here.
Some roommate. We like
Meet
roommate.
Jimmy, folks.
Do we like roommate?
Does like roommate.
Say, Uncle Paul, you and Dad would be so proud of me. I'm
cool.
just the best dog. I've had a bath. And Rachel's not a groomer, but she got all my knots out. So I'm a bit fluffy.
A bit of work involved in that. Bit fluffy is right. Jimmy, for those of you unaware, is the dog formerly owned by Jeff, Black Sheep's father. Jimmy is a little boy dog. Black Sheep has a rather large female dog. and it's very difficult to keep the two apart. He has been doing so, but it has been a struggle. And I mentioned this yesterday when Paul rang me and said, any chance we can find a home for my dad's little silky terrier. And the only person I could think of to ring who knows a bit about animals is the wonderful Rachel Kyle in our chat. Now, I sent her a text message. I said, obviously with what was going on with Paul and his father passing away yesterday morning, I said, he doesn't feel comfortable ringing you. She said, I don't feel comfortable ringing him on this day. Well, it turns out it was meant to be. The two of them got together late yesterday afternoon, and there was this magnificent little handover with Rachel saying, I think I might be able to find him.
We ring it today, didn't we, little man? Hey? You've had a bath, you've had your hair cut, you've had all your knots taken out by a complete stranger. Hey, and you're still wagging your tail, aren't you? Look at that little tail wag. Look at that little tail wag, yes. And we've done the washing, and we've done the vacuuming. Hey, yeah, and you coped with all that really well. Look at that tail. Look.
Yeah, very happy with the tail. Very happy with the tail. So there was a little puppy named Jimmy who is about 3 or 4 years old, looking for a new home in Tasmania. But you might be in for a bit of a fight, because the lady who has come forward to look after Jimmy at the moment may not be handing him back so much. Is that right, Rach? I'm not sure. He's in a transfer sleep at the moment. I think that's absolutely beautiful. Rach, I hope that it all works out. Rachel does get a few dogs staying at her place from time to time, and it might be difficult to sometimes they don't get along. So it's got to be a bit of a suck it and see at the moment. But at this point in time, I think Jimmy's pretty eager to make friends and pretty eager to do the right things. He's had a bath, he's had a clip, he's had everything taken out of him. Black sheep won't recognize him, I don't think. So I think it's a match made in heaven. And judging by the way Rachel and I were speaking this afternoon in our text, she might think so too. Nobody's telling her it's a bad idea for her to take on a puppy of her own. So fingers crossed. And what a marvelous thing it would be to have found a solution for the dog, a solution for Rachel, and a solution for Black Sheep all in one go. It's kind of what we like to build around here, unity. We want to help each other, and that's what I believe the March 31st rally is all about. Now, have you decided to go? Have you been scaremongered into reconsidering your decision? Have you decided, no, it's too dangerous to go, I'm not going to go anywhere near it? Well, tonight we're going to talk with a couple of other people who are definitely going to it, like I am. And a little bit later on in this show, I'll tell you, if you're on the Gold Coast, how you can meet up with me, and we can travel there together if that's what you so want to do. And Clayton, who is in the chat tonight, got to figure out with you, brother, where we're going to meet so we can catch up. I know Tim and a few others who are floating around in the chat. In fact, there are 2 Tims who'll be coming at least that I can think of. We're going to have a merry little band, and every one of us will be carrying cameras if I can manage it. And we won't be filming the happy-go-lucky pictures that they want. We'll be filming and looking for the people who are agitating. That's part the reason why I'm going. And part the reason I'm sure why these other 2 gentlemen are poking along as well, although Tim Dwyer may well have the opportunity to get up on a stage and make a speech or 2, and Darren Bergwerf will simply be going to wave his flag, which is the same as my flag, which probably isn't the blue friggin' flag there seems to be a great deal of dissension about. So from 3 red flag waving weirdos, good evening, folks. Welcome to tonight's topic of discussion. To march, not to march, is it all too much, boys? I don't know. Let's start with you, Tim.
Thanks, Carl. Hey, Darren, how you doing?
Good, Tim. How are you, mate?
Yeah, top of the world, mate. Top of the world. To march or not to march? This is the question. Well, I looked at all the stuff and how it started and why it started and what the original concept of it was I believe, was to stand up and let the rest of Australia know that there's a lot of people who aren't happy with the government, aren't happy with particularly the mass migration, literally the overpopulation of migration, because the infrastructure is not there for us. There's nothing against the people per se, but we can't afford it. It's simple, like if there's no bloody money in the kitty for groceries at home, we can't be feeding tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of visitors to the home. So will I march? Yes, I will. And will I carry the flag? Yes, I will. Will I have my camera? Yes, I will. And what is there to be scared of? So the thing is that if any lunatics start agitating and carrying on, it's simple. Walk away from them and leave them standing there like a bloody stale turd in the middle of the road.
Turn your back on them or shame them, point at them, shame, 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 turn your back on them.
Yeah, walk away from them.
Yeah, if they're going to create problems, then I would ask the good Aussie men who claim to be turning up in their tens of thousands to this event, then I would ask the good Aussie men just to simply surround the people being idiots and enclose them, move in on them, get close enough to give them a hug. Just tell them it's not the way, brother. This is not the way.
But
give them a hug, support them.
I think also, Carl, the interesting thing here is that I think we're going to find a lot of families at the rally. I'd like to see a lot of families. And when you're in a group, like I remember when the rallies were on previously, a couple of years back, and you see families walking along, little kids, all this sort of stuff, it demonstrates to those who are not at the rally that this isn't just about adults, men. This is about the entire structure of our country, where our family are there en masse saying, we, the people, have had an absolute gutsful of every aspect of government, ignoring every aspect of our concerns.
But this march on the 31st seems to have been steered, be that by the organisers, and I don't necessarily believe that to be the case, or steered by mainstream media. I'm not going to put this up. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I think this is the one I want to put up. So this is for the Belmore Park event in Sydney. Now, big business wants endless immigration or endless migration, whether it's Coles or Woolworths, big banks, Harry Triggenboff, the universities, the Business Council of Australia, they all want it. And to be honest, this is a bloody great reason. They all want more people to move here because every person is another 365 days worth of food, another mortgage, another cost on the nation, where money you'll get a job, you'll pay tax, more money comes in. This has become a business arrangement for the government, who we know are here unlawfully and occupying us unlawfully. But if we're going to go and march, we can't blame the people who are taking advantage of this illegitimate government's largesse and our money that they're handing out overseas. And we're just seeing the end result walking through the arrival doors at airports all around Australia. It has to stop with the government. So I'm wondering why, this March 31st march was announced, and yet there has been such division and angst put against it because of the word migration or immigration, Darren. I mean, where's all this trouble brewed from? Where's it come from?
Mate, there's been so many clips of certain people, and I'm not going to accuse anyone or blame anyone for what's happened. When this first, where my stance has been, I haven't been a march since I came back from Canberra in February 2022, right? And I said that the problem's not in Canberra, it's not in Melbourne, it's at our local councils. We need to get up there after I ran in the election. And then after time, as we learn and get a bit more discernment, we realise that, well, there's no political answer to this either. And when you learn the depth of depravity and the depth of corruption and illegitimacy of the current system, it's like, well, okay, why are we asking these people to stop immigration? These people don't have any rightful place to be sitting in the positions they're sitting. They're malfeasance of public office. They're in breach of their trusteeship. They're basically criminals. And to me, the bigger picture is not about a one issue thing. The one issue for me is a fraudulent, corrupt government that needs to be removed. Now, how do we go about that? What's the quickest way? If you want to stop mass immigration, okay, what's the quickest way? Is it to run in the federal election in 3 years' time and then another 3 years after that?
I just caution you, be very careful about what you say here, about what is the best and fastest.
I have no problem. I'm speaking truth. And
well, that's right. You don't own the frigging channel. I do. So I'm asking you to be very careful of what you say, because you could find yourself in court under very serious charges very quickly. So I'm asking you.
Is that because of the media outlets?
Well, the media outlets are obviously part of it.
Well, they're a large part of pushing the propaganda and whatever false narrative wants to be pushed forward. But be careful all I'm saying is be very careful what you say about what is the most direct form of action to take, because I think all of us understand what the most direct form of action, and if you're really not sure of the most direct and what most proven method of how to get rid of a corporate or corrupt government, then just look at what happened in history at certain countries that have had that. It's pretty easy to figure it out. But if you start talking about it here, that leads into some rather interesting potential breaches of laws that could see us all go to jail for a very long time.
You didn't let me finish, Carl. You didn't let me finish. You cut me off. Right? I'm not talking about storming Parliament. I'm not talking about insurrection. Okay? Yeah, so that's not the action I'm talking about. Non-violent, non-belligerent. But when injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty, right? And that's where we're at. We have a completely unjust system. It is racketeering and colluding as organised crime from the top of the government to multinational corporations to every watchdog. And that's the truth. And there's more than enough evidence. Now, if that gets me into trouble, stiff shit. I really don't care at this stage. I'm not going to go for another 3 years. No.
The evidence is right here with Andrew Barker. 74% of the country didn't vote for Albo or anybody to do with him. The trouble comes with what do you do with that information? Where do you take that and how do you fight back?
Well, we've done rallies, right? And we went to Canberra in our millions and it didn't achieve anything. We've got to have a purpose and we've got to have an end game. There's got to be some demands put on the table, not demands that the corrupt government changes policy, because we've got to change the government. We've got to change the system. So the quickest way to do that is not by segregating ourselves and pushing groups away and dividing the people of this land, no matter where they're from, what flag they're under, or what religion they're under. We're all the tyranny is not discriminatory. Every single individual in this country is being terrorized by this corporate government. So if we all unite as one and we march and we build to a point where they have a list of demands to step aside, to stand down for all the crimes that they're committing against humanity, at that point, if our demands aren't met, then we look at an action of striking, shutdowns, lockdowns, gridlocks, whatever. Non-belligerent, not a riot or anything like that. Just a withdrawal completely across the board. We've got to build to that. It might take 3 months. It might take 5 months to build to a point where we take decisive action. We've got to have a plan, not just rallying once a week, once a fortnight, and doing the same things we did back in 2021 and 2022. That's where we're coming from.
Tim, it's fair to say you've been looking at this problem from a constitutional perspective and what would be next in any perceived, future for us all. What have you got to add to what Darren's just said?
Well, firstly, let me agree with Darren that there is not one aspect of what is called government in this country that is lawful or legitimate. therefore, we are under the boot of a communist regime of occupation. Period. End of story. I look at this, and I'm with Darren. We don't need any violence. We don't need to, burn the city to the ground or any of that rubbish. We don't need to be dragging politicians out of their offices by their short and curlies, although it could be fun, but we can't do it. Yeah. But so, and we certainly can't vote them out. We've seen that. So the system again fails us, or the system they're operating under has failed us. Now, I'll make a statement here tonight that so you've got the scoop on this one, Carl. One of the things that I was trying to do was to put together, there's 30 of us who wanted to have our oath of allegiance heard by the office of the Archbishop of Canterbury, who has the authority under law to hear the oath of a king, and he also has ecclesiastic authority to hear the oath of the king. And we wanted 30 of us to have our oaths taken and witnessed by the Archbishop. Well, unfortunately, at the moment, the Archbishop's office is empty because the Archbishop retired, and they're in the middle of electing a new one. And we've been talking to the office for some weeks, and from the legal department today, unfortunately, we got a response saying that that process can't happen. And so our construct of having Commonwealth lawfully sworn Commonwealth officers who could sit as Parliament, basically. We're trying to do this as lawfully, both nationally and internationally, as we possibly can, and that door is almost all closed. I've got to talk to them again tonight. And so what do? Constitutionally, we are at sea. We are nowhere. The whole country has been cast aside. Every law has been cast aside. And how do we then bring these people to heel? Now, there are certain things we can do within the Constitution, but the overarching of this is the people, right? It is the people. And, we are a multi-ethnic group of people. And just as a little aside, it was my ancestor's anniversary of his death on Saturday. Michael Dwyer, the Whitlow chief out of Southern Ireland. He died 200 years ago in Sydney. And 200 years ago in Sydney, that rebel Irish bastard that the English deported had 20,000 people at his funeral 200 years ago. So I blame my rebel ancestors for the blood that courses through my vein. So what do? I think the only thing that's left, and John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the ex-president of the United States, said that when a government does not make a peaceful resolution available to its people, what it is inviting is a violent revolution. Now, we don't want that violent revolution, but we do have, I think, tools at hand that could persuade the government maybe to act in a different way. Let me put it to you this way. What Darren said about a list of demands, and that's a list of demands, not just at the federal level, that's a list of demands at the council level, the state level, at the court level, and at the federal level. Those demands must be concise. They must meet with the founding laws within the country, so as that we're not trying to bark up a tree no one's been before.
Do we have such a list in existence that
no, we don't. But we could soon put one together. I'm sure wouldn't take
I've already
long.
got one being put together, mate.
And so, therefore, imagine, and this is only hypothetical, of course, but what about if the highways all slowed down? What about if the traffic in town wasn't doing 50 k's an hour, it was doing 40 or 30? What if out on the freeways through Melbourne and Sydney, what if everybody, instead of doing 100 k's an hour, was doing 80 k's an hour? And we literally slowed everything down. We jammed everything up. We're still moving. We're not blocking a highway. We're still traveling. But we slow the whole program down. What about, and it's no good saying boycott this supermarket or that supermarket, but what about if their supply chain was blocked?
The most effective strike in Australia ever.
Right? What if the supply chain was literally shut down until, not for this day to this day, not from the 5th of the month to the 10th of the month, but from whatever date.
Not 1 day a week.
No. On a day across the country, the structure stops. Now, the supermarkets have got enough food for a few days. The toilet paper will be first to go.
Then will the people turn on those?
You've got to build up to this and prepare people to be
you do, Darren.
ready for it.
Hang on.
But see,
I'm sitting 20 feet from a container that's full of friggin' food that's been waiting to be eaten for the last 4 friggin' years.
But see,
I mean, I'm ready. There's plenty prepped, right?
But the rallies, from my perspective, marching on Sunday, it's not about waving a flag at an empty bloody building or an office. The rallies are about building cohesiveness amongst the people so as that everybody knows that they're not the only one out there. They're not alone. We are a unified group of people that strengthen each other's hearts and minds because we all feel the pain. The rally's not about complaining to the government. The government's never going to bloody listen. They've never listened in their entire life. The only thing they've got ears for is so as their bedmate can grab them.
True that.
Well, it's about building unity, and that's why, when I first looked
at this, we're having another march for Australia on September the 13th. Yay.
No, because I watched the shit show unfold.
You say that it's all for unity, because I'm afraid that was the last thing on the minds of the organisers of this thing initially when it was set up. So I'm all for hearing it, but it wasn't there. They weren't anything about unity to begin with. I just want to be very clear on that and make sure everybody remembers it. So what's
played out over the last 2 weeks has been pretty much, it's been ridiculous, and I've just sat back. I haven't come out publicly and said anything to anybody about what they've said, what they're doing, or anything else. I've just looked at it unfold. I was going to get back involved when I seen the groundswell of support. I thought, okay, maybe it's time now. Maybe it's time for that to rebuild the momentum we had in 2021 and get something happening. So I was initially going to get involved very early, and then I thought better of it. And I sat back and I watched, and I thought, you know what? I just going to, these people are eating each other alive, and I just stood back and I let that unfold. And I thought, this is bullshit. And then more came out about the connotations, and then more speeches come out about this, and you can't bring this flag. And I thought, okay, I don't want anything to do with it now. And then there was a worldwide one coming up, and I thought, well, okay, let this one unfold, right? Let it go, and then let's see if we can't do it on a Saturday where both groups, because these other rallies have been happening for the last 4 weeks on every Sunday. So if we did it on a Saturday, there's plenty of Australians, or whatever everyone wants to call Australians as far as race or colour. There's plenty of Australians walking in those rallies on the Sunday, supporting the Palestinians' cause for the genocide that's happening to them. So if we did it on a Saturday, that all these groups could merge and come together as one with the same common, in my opinion, enemy, which is the state. And
I don't understand why they couldn't all come together on March
all of
31st.
us.
I don't understand why they all couldn't come together on March 31st under the same banner that you're saying. Admittedly, somebody's come out, and I don't know who it was, whether it was Beck Freedom or somebody else came out and said, only bring the blue flag. Well, if you're trying to unite people, don't go dictating what you can and can't. If you don't understand the difference between the red and the blue flags, and there are a couple of red flags that cause consternation, just so you know, people, if you're not interested, or you are interested. And I'm going to be taking the real Australian flag, as I know you two gentlemen will be doing, and it's red. And it has 9 stars on 9 points on 1 star, and then they go backwards from there as you count around the Southern Cross. It's not real hard to discern the difference, but maybe you might want to learn why. And I think it's okay to ask that question. If you're holding your blue flag and I look at it and say, well, what are you doing with the blue rag? I won't do that because that's probably a bit angry to approach it that way. But if you ask me and say, why are you carrying the Navy flag, for instance, as it's quite often confused for, I'll explain the difference, hopefully politely, and leave you people with enough information to go away and find more truth for themselves. Because as we've all learned, there's no point hammering the pill through these people's teeth. They don't get enough of it inside them. They have to be open up to receiving the information themselves, and we've got to point them in the direction. Hopefully then they will, come over to our side and ask a few more questions. That's the plan. So if the flag issue is the biggest issue that's been consternation for people, put it out of your head. There seems to be in Melbourne particularly, Darren, and I was saying in a show last night or the night before, and Tim, you can tell me what it's like in Adelaide. Melbourne, I think, because of the trauma that Melbourne and Victorians in general have been through since the spicy cough began, the control measures that Dan Andrews put upon you all, and you are still undergoing this trauma with the bitch that's now in charge, Jacinta Allen. Victorians are much more strongly motivated. They have a much more diverse ethnic and cultural mix of people. I mean, it's the most ethnically diverse city in Australia, for God's sake. And everybody for many, many years has gotten along. It hasn't been too much of an issue. All of a sudden now, there is this division that's popping up, and it seems to be around this event. And look, Melbourne has its NSN members, and Sydney supposedly has its NSN members, and maybe Brisbane has its NSN members. But all up, we're talking about a crew of maybe 150 people spread across the nation. Is that crew going to be enough to make any kind of impact, good, bad, or otherwise, at an event that might have 100,000 people at it in Melbourne, Darren?
I don't believe so. I don't believe they're going to be there to cause any trouble if they turn up or when they turn up anyway. I'm sure they're going to be there. And look, there is no issue about a valid argument about mass immigration and the effect it's having on this country and where we're at. I agree, but there's what I'm trying to get across. And today we had Brad Batten, the leader of the Liberal Party in opposition in Victorian Parliament, and his handler, I can't read his name at the moment, do a press conference on the steps of Parliament House, and they had a Palestinian flag and Australian flag in the background, and he stood there and did this speech, and some guy was walking behind them with the blue flag on a flag stick with the Star of David spray painted in the middle of it, right? And he walked behind them 3, 4, 5 times. I've filmed this. I've put it up on My Place Australia, and I put it to everyone. I said, that's who owns your blue flag, for all of you flying that pride in that flag. So people don't have a connection or an understanding of just what that flag means either. But what I would say, I'm not interested in flags, because what we have and what we started at My Place, leave your religion, your politics, and your ego at the door, and just bring in your knowledge and help us build help us build a community. All those things are there to divide us. The government are putting things out there by funding Indigenous that were stolen. And all of these things are false flags. And I can't believe that so many of the freedom movement are still getting sucked in to their game plan to divide us on every single thing. The burning of the flag on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, it wasn't even on the bridge, right? It was a stunt. It was done deliberately, right? And the same with the Hamas flags that were in the crowd. These are all done by agents, right, on both sides. And there'll be agents in our rally doing things to provocatise the other rally on Sunday, no doubt. So people got to have a little bit more brains about what's going on and don't be so emotional and react with all of these things that are going on. They're done deliberately by the people willing to divide us, and we're falling for it.
Tim, the people of Adelaide are known as, the city of churches, family-friendly kind of city. Is this going to be a day in the park that everybody should be turning up to on Sunday?
Yeah, Carl, look, it's really interesting. I've been to not every rally, but nearly every rally in Adelaide since all this started. And I can tell you that there's only ever been one incident that I know of where somebody got violent and the people jumped on him, literally, like he drove his fist through the side window of somebody's car as we were walking down the thing. And everybody grabbed him and handed him to the coppers. So in Adelaide, they have always been really family-friendly rallies. The biggest rally we ever had here in Adelaide would have been about 20-odd thousand people. And we took up both sides of North Terrace. We took up both sides of King William Street. And it was an awesome sight and I'll tell you why it was so awesome. Out the front of that rally, there was 2 coppers marching in front of the rally. And both of those coppers said because I was part of the organising of that rally, both of the coppers said to me afterwards, we can't say it publicly, but we agree with you. So we wanted to be at the head. And behind the coppers was 3 families with a bunch of kids walking hand in hand. Now, Adelaide is a great safe space to be in, where they're having the rally down in Rundle Park on the corner of East Terrace and North Terrace in the parklands there. Beautiful spot. And then there's going to be a march. We have never had an issue in Adelaide, and I don't think this will be any different. We're just looking for big numbers to build that unity, that one heart, one soul of people, so as that the government know that we're not divided. You're not going to drive a wedge between us. We are the people, whereas the people, and that's us, not just in Adelaide, but all across the country. No matter where you've got a lot of people here in the chat, Carl, and every one of these people have got a family. They got a brother, a sister, a mother, an uncle, an auntie, a son or a daughter, cousins. And every one of these people, in their mind and in their heart, only want the best for the future of them and their families. And unfortunately, every aspect of government, I don't care whether it's the corrupt courts, I don't care whether it's the illegitimate government, I don't care whether it's the paid for councillors and the mayors and the CEOs that are running a BOHICA program. You know what BOHICA is, don't you?
No,
all the councils. That. Well, all the councils run a BOHICA program, right? Now, what BOHICA is, they say to every person in their council who owns a property or a business, bend over, here it comes again, BOHICA. But every one of us that are going to be on that march, whether you're in Melbourne or Sydney or Brisbane, Townsville, Cairns, Perth, it doesn't matter where you are. All we want to do is show one thing. We want to show the government, your day is done. We've had a guts full. And when we, the people, really come together, when we, the people, really unite, When we, the people, won't put up with any more of your crap, you've got a problem. And the only way to solve that problem is to adhere to what the people want. Don't tell us you're going to listen to us. You are going to do what you are told to do. Period.
Darren, the fear is being ramped up this week in particular. I don't know whether or not it's related to the March 31 march or not, but actions in Pawnpunka in northern Victoria, northeastern Victoria yesterday, with police and mainstream media accusing an oxymoron of shooting 2 police officers and wounding a third. I think wise people would be questioning the mainstream media narrative, and do any of us actually believe what the media and the police would say about this? Am I being far too skeptical, or is this a sort of a feeling through Victoria as well that we don't know the truth about what happened with Desi Freeman? We don't know. There are some eerie similarities with the mainstream media narrative around what has supposedly gone on with Desi Freeman, and that involves, sexual abuse. The child stealers are involved. I'm sorry, CPS or whatever they're called, the Child Protection Service in Victoria, are involved, and some detectives from a sexual abuse squad, by the sound of it, have turned up. But what do we really know about this, Darren?
I don't think you're being cynical enough, to be honest. I'm getting more and more cynical the longer this drags on. I'm like you said, you've had a gutful, and I'm not going to go for another 12 months of this bullshit. We've got to ramp up some serious action. But the chats that I've been looking at today, look, some of them go way too far, and I wouldn't even repeat them, what I've been reading today. But, nothing can be trusted about what comes out of the police. I actually went on 3AW this morning and spoke to Tom Elliott because someone had informed me that he had just called a professor, and they were talking about my place and the sovereign citizen movement. So I actually got some airtime with him, and I set him straight as much as I could till he realised that I kind of had him over a barrel, and he cut me off and started talking about kangaroos, which was a bit of a shame. I was hoping to come back in. I was waiting for another couple of minutes listening to it because I would have said to him that basically every court in this country is a kangaroo court. So it's a pretty good topic that you switched to. But he kind of cut me off, and he didn't want to answer. He moved away from the topic straight away because the content I think I got out was pretty solid. About the sovereign citizen and how dangerous it is, and the fact that I asked him to look up the etymology of the meaning of sovereign, and the same for citizen. And it's
did he actually do that on the air? Did he do that on the air and explain it?
Yep. Yeah, I landed.
Did he agree the two can't mutually exist?
No, he didn't agree. He went on to his assessment of what sovereign meant. And at the last little bit, he put in some of the good stuff of what sovereign actually is. Didn't mention citizen, but he moved on very quickly. So all the arguments I put forward that we're just a concerned group of Australians. Sovereign citizen is actually a dangerous term that the media and you people are using. You're putting people in danger. We're just honest, hardworking Australians that want a better future for our family and our kids. We are learning about law. We're learning about our constitution and how it's been subverted. So I was really on point, and I didn't go to any kind of extremes about certain things. I just was explanatory, and I got a lot of that content on air. So, but certainly we've got to keep rebutting and rebuking this term of sovereign citizen and conspiracy theorists, and start to call the media out. And potentially, I'm at the point where I want to build a team to do a class action against malfeasance in office for the media. Because they are actually complicit in they're not doing their job as their charter directs them to do. They are certainly a narrative propaganda organisations, all of them. And unless we start to actually get on the front foot against the media, and also at the same time build a rapport with the police over the next 3 or 4 months, when we build to our crescendo of action that we may take if they don't stand down, the police need to be given a brief of evidence of the crimes that they're committing, who they're working for, right? A really solid one that they actually start to listen. And when the time comes, if you don't turn your back and take your hats off and stand with the people or not turn up to work, you're going to be judged very poorly, because whatever you think, this is going to flip. The world is changing, and this is your last chance to get on the right side of it. So we've got to try and get the cops on board to stand with the people when the action that we believe we may need to take actually comes to fruition.
Tim, the ABC put South Australia firmly on the map last week when they Four Corners came to town and did a sovereign citizen hit job. Johnny Q, they lined up very nicely. He went to court quite happily and lost beautifully for them in front of the cameras. And I got the feeling that we were patted on the head, the movement, I mean, being patted on the head. They sent a bloke who comes from a country that's never heard of Magna Carta, much less knows how to spell it or understands what it means for common law. So the fellow who actually went and did the whole thing, I don't think he had much of an interest in. Well, he might have thought it was fair. I thought it was juvenile reporting. Tim, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, look, Carl, I started watching Four Corners, and I felt sick. I literally wanted to go out the back and let it rip, but I sat through it.
I had to go through 3 different things to go and remember or get my iView password sent to me. It's been that long since I've looked at anything on the ABC.
So I watched it, and from my perspective, I think you're right. They picked the reporter who wouldn't know what an Australian constitution was. He's never heard of it. But I've spoken to Johnny since then, and he did mention the constitution and this and that and every aspect of it.
Yeah.
None of that was put into the report. I think Johnny, from the Four Corners perspective, was used as a sacrificial lamb in that report.
Yeah.
I do not know, and I've spoken to the guys in Western Australia, the sheriffs, and, I don't think that I don't understand why it is that anybody today would think for 1 minute that if you speak to a mainstream media reporter, no matter how nice and how polite, and no matter what they say, oh no, we'll be fair and we'll play it this way and we'll do this and we'll do that. You got to remember the tale of the frog and the scorpion, right? The scorpion promised the frog he wouldn't hurt him if he swam him across the river, and the frog said no. Finally, the scorpion convinced the frog to swim him across the river, and he wouldn't sting him, he wouldn't poison him. As soon as the frog reached dry land, the scorpion went whack, drove his poison into him and killed him. And the frog said, why did you do that? He said, well, that's what we do. We're scorpions. That's what we do. We're the ABC. That's what we do. That's what we do. We're the media. They sensationalize to their own narrative, not to what you want to get across. I had a friend in Melbourne many moons ago who built a retirement village. The village is still there, but they did a report on him and bastardized him to the point where he lost everything, right? The ABC. Never, ever, ever, no matter what they tell you, ever do a clip, a stand-up report, anything to any media organization, because it will only ever be used against you, not for you, because you must remember from their perspective, as Darren said, they're all about this this lunacy of sovereign citizenship, sovereign citizenry. No.
Yeah.
Do not ever agree to a meeting or an interview with any media organization. They will tear you a new one. Period. End of story. And so
they'll do to you what they did to Beck Freedom, is go back through any Twitter space you've ever been in, any show you've ever appeared on, any word that you may have said down a phone somewhere, it has been recorded. And if they want to find it, they have the researchers being paid $12, $15, $2,000, $3,000 a week to do nothing else but sit down and research you and everything you have ever said, ever posted, ever alluded to in your entire electronic life. And they will go and find it and turn it around, take it out of context and use it in whichever way they feel they need to. There is absolutely nothing you can do about it. So the advice Tim gives is bloody good. Shame, shame, shame. Point it at the reporter, point it down the barrel of the camera, and then turn your back on them. Same if Avi comes to you. Don't even acknowledge him. He is there to jab you into a reaction. And I believe he's done it again today. He's released another one today where he's gone off and provoked Palestinians in another reaction. I haven't seen it yet. Darren tells me I've got to go and have a watch it, so I'm probably going to have to make another bloody video on Avi, which is the last thing I want to do. But it's important that we point out the agitators in what's going on here. They're the ones that are bringing the disunity. They're the ones that are causing this division. And we must call them out, shame them publicly.
In Adelaide on Sunday, we have drafted up a notice to hand to all the media outlets that if they portray anybody here at this rally, anything other than peaceful Australian concerned people, if they mention the word sovereign citizens, they will be liable to be sued. And every media outlet will get it. And whoever the top copper is that's doing the day, he'll get a copy of it as well. So if they mention anything, if they run a narrative of this literal bullshit of sovereign citizenry, which, as we all know, it's a grammatical impossibility, it's a physical impossibility, and it's an oxymoron. And those who use the term are more moron than oxy, right? And so we will literally, we will give them notice. And if it comes out in any of their broadcasts that we are sovereign citizen bullshit, we will sue them.
Yep, the way it should be. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time tonight. Darren, you particularly, late notice and all that. So we'll have you back on to have a talk about the big march coming up on September the 13th for Australia. That's going to make so much more difference to the one that's coming up on March 31st for some reason. But we'll talk about that as it gets a bit closer.
It's going to leapfrog off the 31st. So I'll be there on the 31st, and hopefully we have a really, really successful one, and we get lots of people there. And that's the moment. We start the momentum from the 31st. That's the first one back in the game, and then we build from there.
Excellent.
And that's all. The next building block, we just wanted to make sure that we try to make it fully inclusive. The next one, and allow anyone and everyone to come along that has a grievance with the tyranny that's going on. And that's where we're coming from. That's all. And I'll support this one. I hope the next one.
I hope the next one strives to be not fully paid for, like this one has strived not to be fully paid for. Because I have a lot of issues with a lot of the people behind this September 13 thing, because they've never done anything that didn't involve them benefiting in some huge way out of it for themselves rather than the people previously. So, yeah, my eye's very firmly on it, mate. We'll talk a lot more about it as we lead up to it, and I hope I'm proved wrong. But I have my doubts, unfortunately. But it'll be another one we'll go out and support, like you say. If March 31st can be the beginning of something. I mean, the Palestinians can go out and march every week, and nobody seems to think anything of it. Why can't Australians go out and march every week and people not think anything of it? Seems only fair, doesn't it?
Well, we'll build to that. It'll be a fortnightly, and then at some point, it may become weekly as the weather gets better and the crowd numbers increase. And but it's got to build to something. We've got to have a plan outside of just the marching and the rhetoric. We've got to be liaising with the police.
We've got to build the list of demands that you would. Tim was referring to.
We've got a whole strategy mapped out.
Yeah.
Now, start to finish.
just if I can jump in, if anybody remembers the movie V for Vendetta.
I've got to go. Sorry.
Okay.
Right,
All right, mate.
Thanks,
No worries.
guys.
Good on you,
See you,
Darren.
bud.
Bye. If anybody remembers V for Vendetta, it was a movie done back in the late 90s, I think.
I love it. Only watched it again recently.
Yep. Now, you can go to YouTube and you can get the speech that V made, right? And I encourage everybody that's on here tonight, go to YouTube and have a look at the speech from V for Vendetta. And it refers to Guy Fawkes.
Yeah.
And he says, remember, the 5th of November. And we will give them a 5th of November that they will always remember. Now, the date may not be the 5th of November, but if you listen to the speech, it will encourage you to stay the course.
Resonate.
Really good. It'll resonate strong.
100%. 100%. Good on you, buddy. Very quickly, X39 patches. Marvelous things. And in fact, I'm looking for my packet because I've got to put one on my neck at the moment. The way I was introduced for these was I had a shocking headache, an event I was with you in Adelaide at. You put one of these patches on the back of my neck, and I had like 2 hours driving to go when I left Adelaide before I was pulling up for the night somewhere, and I really wasn't looking forward to driving out of the Adelaide Hills with this stonking headache. And you've slapped this thing on the back of my neck, and 20 minutes later said to me, how's your head? And I said, oh, my headache's gone. And it wasn't a headache, it was a migraine. Gone, completely gone. And I hadn't even thought about it from the moment he put the patch on. That had a big effect on me. Then we met Carol. It had a huge effect on her. And from that time on, a lot of people through the Voice of Freedom have joined up and tried the X39 patches. I think what happens, mate, a lot of people, and I am guilty of this, get a bit complacent with them. Like you put it on the back of your neck. And right now I can tell you the back of my neck, my left shoulder and down my back to my hips are out. But I can't afford to go to a masseuse. I can't afford to go to a chiropractor. So all I can afford to do is dip into my store of X39 patches and throw them on. And right now, that's giving me some relief.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't fix the problem when you've got a broken bone or something out of place. It doesn't miraculously put it all back in. But I have to say, in my case, they work. They work amazingly well. The only thing I found they don't work on is gout in my toes for whatever reason.
Okay. All righty. Well, Carl, look, I remember that day and I remember it well. And what we find is that a lot of people, like I got an instant result, you got an instant result. When Fred or Mary or Jack try it and they don't get an instant result that day, they think, oh, shit, it doesn't work. Right? Yeah. No. For Corinne, for my beautiful wife, she had neuropathy in her feet. All right. Like if she went down to the supermarket to go shopping, she couldn't do a full shop. She couldn't walk around the supermarket to do a full shop. Her feet would be on fire. Like the pain was just incredible. She'd have to leave the supermarket, get in the car, take her shoes off and come home. Right.
Yeah.
Now, it took 4 months for that to go away. So if she'd have looked at it and said, oh, well, the first time I went shopping, my feet still caught fire and I'm wearing these patches, they don't work, she wouldn't have had the relief that she's got. Now, what happens is people also, when they wear them and they get the relief, they go, oh, well, I'm fixed, I'm good now. But what you've got to understand is that what's actually happening with the patch, the immediate result you felt or the result you got over the next week, month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, that's the beginning. That's just the beginning. Because what they've found, the studies show that after wearing the patch every day for 12 hours a day, 12 hours a night, 12 hours off, right?
Yeah.
So 12 hours on, 12 hours off, every day for 6 months, your heart starts to reverse in age. Your heart gets younger. your bone density gets stronger. The collagen increases in every aspect of your body, in your muscles, your sinews, in your skin, the whole lot. So the continual using of the patches improves every aspect of your health. Now, people say, well, geez, Tim, they're bloody expensive. I can't afford to do that. Well, what we've now worked out, LifeWave of making some changes to how people get paid in the beginning at the lower end of the income structure.
Okay.
And, right. So what they're now setting up is that if you had 6 or 8 customers, not brand partners, not people who have registered to come into the business side of it, people just customers. Now they're buying the product at $99 US a pack, just like you and I. They're preferred customers. If you've got somewhere between 5 to 8 customers, you are getting your patches paid for by the income you're earning just from those 5 to 8 people. Right?
That's
and
amazing.
so
Yep.
Therefore, by doing that, you can afford to wear the patches forever. Right?
Yeah.
The other side of it is that they are changing how the bonuses are paid. So there is more money in it for those who want to look at the business end of it. And the beautiful part about that is it's still 2 legs. And if you've got somewhere between 3 and 6 people in your organization that are choosing to pick it up and build it. Now, you might introduce 25, 30, 40 people. I don't know how many people you're going to have to find, 3 or 4 or 5 business builders, but it doesn't matter, right? The amount of money you will make in this new bonus structure in comparison to the old is about $15,000 a year US more.
Wow.
More, right? So we're pretty excited about that. And so as we progress forward with this, there will be more news come out. And anybody Carl, who you've previously sponsored, who didn't renew their distributorship, who wants to renew their distributorship, they can re-register directly back with you again instantly. There's no, if they wanted to sign up with somebody else, they'd have to wait another 6 months. But if they go back under their original sponsor.
Becky O from Truth Seekers, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, Becky, come on, girl. Right, we've spoken about this, Beck. Anyway, so there's a lot of good things happening with X39, and the way we're seeing it now is like I've got a lady who's she'll register this week, and her granddaughter has Crohn's disease.
Right.
And I sent them a testimony on the Crohn's, and the lady was in her 60s and healed herself from Crohn's disease in 3 months using the patches.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. People can't expect that if you've got something significant that's wrong with you, or multiple significant things that's wrong with you, you can't expect that it's all going to be fixed up in a day or a week or even a month of daily use. This might take 3 months. It might take 6 months because whatever, and I'll use cancer as an example, but it's only one, and I'm not saying it cures cancer, but if it did, it wouldn't be able to do it overnight, I don't think.
No.
There are plenty of people who believe that cancer is a parasite and they're swallowing tubes of ivermectin. Do they still have cancer?
Yeah. And look, what I look at, Carl, is this. For all of us here, everyone on the show tonight, let me be really, really frank with you. When this bullshit of COVID-19 broke loose, so many people lost their jobs, lost their businesses, lost their only source of income. And their life changed dramatically for the worse for up until now. These lunatics, if they stay in power, which our goal is to get them out of power, but if they still stay there, they will introduce something even more draconian than what they did. And what I'm saying to you is this. Yes, I know it may be uncomfortable to ask people to have a look at something. Yes, you may never have built a network before. Yes, you may not understand it at the moment. But let me put it to you this way. If you had the opportunity to set up a virtual franchise for a couple of $100 that gives you the license to operate in just on 80 countries around the world, that you could derive a backup support income of $500 a week, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a week or more. I had a look at a bloke's back office the other day on a Zoom call we were on, and in his back office, he showed he was making $50,000 US per week.
Bloody hell.
Right? Now, if I'm not saying you're going to earn that, but you can, it's available. But if the opportunity is there and to get healthy doing it, bloody hell, like, why wouldn't you at least have a crack?
Yeah.
You got to have a crack, mate. You know, like, that's my theory. Anyway.
Exactly. And look, as we say, sometimes it works for people, sometimes it doesn't. I wish to God it worked for everybody. I wish I could promise it worked for everybody. But for whatever reason, and there's no rhyme or reason to it, sometimes I wonder if it's not psychosomatic. You know, people just think, oh, how's a patch going to help me? And they put it on, will humour Carl for a few days. And when they don't immediately bounce back out of bed or see immediate improvement, it's like, oh, well, we tried, and we must be one of the people that he mentions that it doesn't work for. I would urge you, if you've gone to the expense of buying a packet of these things, use them all.
Yeah,
and give yourself that full month. Give yourself that full month. All right, mate, I'll let you go. I know the goat lover in your family has probably got a wonderful dinner lined up there, and
mate, we've got a slow cooked rump roast tonight.
I was going to say, is it a slow cooked goat curry? But I don't know.
You're a bad man, Carl. You're a bad man. You know that.
I love your work, and I love your wife too, but in a very, your friend, my friend kind of way. I just want to.
Yeah, I get it.
Very good. Love your work, mate. See ya.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Blessings
Tim
to
Dwyer.
all.
Marvelous man. And if you want to get a hydrogen fuel system on your diesel-powered or petrol-powered vehicle, but if you've got big machinery, he can make a big difference in your fuel bill with his H2 Unit 2. You can email h2@vofhq.com. If you want more information on that, go straight to Tim's hydrogen inbox, and he has a little bit of news on that, which I guess we could have touched on, but I'll leave that till next time. Suffice to say, there is a very industrious country that has taken delivery or about to take delivery of, I think, about 60 of these units, which they'll be testing for the next 3 months, I believe. And hopefully they will see huge savings in what they're doing with their diesel generators. And that'll mean great things for a great Australian invention and a product that is, I think, entirely, there might be a small portion of it that has to get done offshore with the electronics, but there is pretty much entirely, it's made here in Australia, all by one little bit, I think. So, yeah. Rock Your Pain is a company in Onour. Okay, that's a bit of a drive, but I'll be going to Brisbane. I don't know. Chiropractors, I have... sometimes, and this is getting to that point where normally I can fix myself some way, shape, or form. I can pop these things back in. I'll give you an example. Sitting right behind me at the moment, I have one of these big rolls that you roll around on, and I've got that sitting in the back of the chair, trying to push my spine forward, if you like, because at the moment it feels like I've popped it out the wrong way, and my left shoulder has been carrying on for the last week or so, all at a time where I need to be rather energetic and go and pack things up like the bus so I can get to Canberra and help out Paul Offey. Don't know what help I'll be other than moral support. Thanks to everybody who turned up in the courtroom today. I'm sorry we didn't get that update this morning from Michael Offey. That was entirely due to me. I forgot to send him the link, and we're both sitting there staring at computers wondering why neither of us were talking to each other. So bit sad. Hopefully I will hear from Michael a little later on this evening, and I'll have an update for you tomorrow morning in how day 3 of the trial went today. There were, I don't think, too many more police witnesses, maybe one, and there was a bit more cross-examination to go. We would expect maybe tomorrow and certainly Friday at the latest for the first of Paul's witnesses to come forward. I believe that there are 4 already on their way to Canberra. There are another 9, I think, waiting in the wings for a call for date and time to be there. And if you could be there tomorrow, Friday particularly, or Monday when he's back in again for the commencement of week 2, we would love to see as many people as possible get into the court and help support Paul and his very, very select, tight little defence team. For those who aren't aware, Paul Offey, the owner of the Freedom truck, is facing some trumped-up charges that, if found guilty, could send him to jail for 40 years. It's just ridiculous. The police have made large overtures and, in my belief and estimation, a couple of good attempts at trying to steal that truck and sell it out from underneath him. Thankfully, because we've caught that hasn't been able to happen. The truck has been relocated back into the holding yard in Canberra, and the fight is on for its return to Paul. That's in part what's being decided this week, next week, and quite possibly the week following. Now, at the moment, the trial is in front of jury, but this is only for certain charges. The rest of the charges will be heard judge only, which is the kind of shit rules that the ACT court have made for themselves. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. 40 years, you're right, 40 years combined jail term for the charges. Aggravated drive at police, and there's like 3 charges of that. And the aggravated part is how they've elevated it out of the magistrate's court, which would have been, pay the fine and piss off, to the Supreme Court, and how they were able to enact the laws, the COCA laws. The COCA laws in the ACT are designed for drug dealers so that the police and corrupt lawyers can take the house, the cars, the boats, all the toys off the drug dealers and people committing large-scale crime. That's what it's about. And if we really want to delve deeply into it, where does all that money go when it's sold? All that stuff is sold. Where does the money generated from fines in the ACT go? Well, you would think it goes to the ACT government for, redistribution on civic projects around Canberra. Nothing could be truer or more false, I tell her. My understanding is that money goes to a fund that's administered by the Canberra Law Society, the highest paid and oldest law firms in the country, may we add. And they do that to better educate the professionals in the legal business in and around Canberra. That's right. Your house, if you were to forfeit it to the court, would be sold, and the money would go into a legal fund that is administered by the lawyers and the judges that just took your house off you. We have to stand up, as Darren and Tim were saying, folks. The time is rapidly approaching, and I, for one, will be very happy to be there and take my rights back and stand shoulder to shoulder with you doing it. Now, I want to do that peacefully, and I believe that this rally coming up on Sunday, this march, is the first step toward that. I will be peacefully going along to this rally. I will take video cameras and we'll share with it what we can. If you have something to say, I'm very happy to record something with you so you can say it. And we'll play it back over the course of next week at various different times. Now, for people who are thinking about attending the rally and you might be feeling a little bit nervous about it, can I just tell you, we would like to have you come with us if that's the way you're feeling. What do they say? There's safety in numbers. Well, if you're at all concerned, or you don't want to go around where there's big crowds without people you trust being around you, well, and you consider us, me, and associated others that'll be with me trustworthy, then come and join us. Now, I'm going to catch the train up to the Brisbane rally. It starts in the Roma Street Parklands. It seems fair that catching a train to Roma Street station, where the Parklands is the wise thing to do. So if you would like to meet on the train, I'm going to catch a train, and I haven't looked yet, and I will get specifics, but I'm going to be aiming to catch a train between 9 and 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, and I will probably catch it from Nerang Station. Okay, I may get it from Varsity Lakes, but probably Nerang at this stage. I know Cass will be coming. She's asked me if I'll be part of all of that. So she'll be coming along for the ride that day as well. Clayton, who you've seen in the chat, he will be coming along. Spazzer, I think, has made noises like he might be bringing somebody on the back of his motorbike. I don't know if it's to come and catch up with us and to rally, or just to terrify that poor bastard on the back of the bike. But either way, it'd be good to catch up with Spazzer. Tim from Munrooban, who you'll learn more about in the coming days, weeks and months. Tim is going to be popping in as well. I'm going to ring Laura and see whether or not she wants to come and march with us as well. She might be working, which might make it a little difficult. But if you want to come, then pretty easy. Meet us at either Varsity or at the Nerang station. I don't know what the weekend trains are like, so I'm going to say there'll be one an hour. I don't know if it'll leave at 9:05 or 25 to 10 or whatever it does. But we should be in Brisbane before 11 or 11:30 at the absolute latest, and it's a 12 o'clock start in the Parklands out the back of Roma Street Station, so we don't have far to walk. If you are not travelling on that line and you want to catch up at the march, well, I'll be carrying a red ensign, so that may not help because I'm only 5 nothing, and there are much taller people around. You might find it difficult in the crew of however many thousands of people are going to attend to catch up. What I will do is do various lives at different times off the phone and try and give you an idea or an indication of whereabouts in the crowd we are. Clayton, who is in the chat, and I keep mentioning, is probably going to be, if we manage to find each other, something of a beacon. And I mean that in the nicest possible term. But Clayton is over 7 foot tall, I think, and he tends to stand out in a crowd. So keep an eye out for a Wookiee walking around, and there's half a chance that you found Clayton, and I will be somewhere around his hip height. Not too far from him, I would say. So we would love to see you, and if we can catch up, wonderful. As for infiltration at this event, I don't care if it's infiltrated or not. I'm going for the right reasons, as I believe most Australians are. I'm going because I believe in the Australia that I grew up in. I believe in everybody gets a fair go. I believe we are a Christian Western democracy, and I believe that our Christian Western morals are being usurped by a government that does not listen to anything its people are saying. And if you need further evidence of anything in that regard, you need only show that less than 26% of the country voted for the Albanese regime that has been foisted upon us. Less than 26% of the country. Now we have to change that. We cannot have an illegitimate bunch of foreign, well, you know the F word I want to use. We cannot have them in control of this country any longer. We cannot have them disrespect us in this way any longer. It has nothing to do with the color of the person coming off the plane, boat, or kite that is bringing them here. That doesn't matter. How they got here, how they were funded here, how we are paying for it, and how the Australian government, supposedly in charge of looking after us, managed to do that with our money and not telling us, well, that is the issue we need to sort out. And we need to make sure we get others in there that will never, ever, ever treat us like a dickhead on the road.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!